Welcome back to the Bricks. Back to the Bricks after dark. Almost like the Pac-12 after dark, Justin. But of course, the Pac-12 is not playing football this year. Sorry for Pac-12 fans. But Justin, we were recording late night, a little different for us. But unless you're watching us on YouTube, you probably don't see that. But hey, if you're not watching us on YouTube, what are you doing? Make sure you subscribe to us over there at Back to the Bricks Podcast. If you're not following us on Instagram while I'm already talking about it, make sure you're following us at Back to the Bricks Pod as well. We do a lot of cool stuff there. In fact, we're going to drop a video for our college football series that's starting this week, and you won't see it anywhere else, so make sure you're there. But Justin, all that said, it is episode 20. What on earth? What do we even? How do we even start?
Our podcast is almost old enough to drink. Like it's almost that old. Like we've made it that far. It's crazy, man. Like I can think back to our first one, and I was half tempted to listen to it the other day, and then I didn't want to, curse my ears with that because I can imagine. So I just want to say thanks to people who've stuck it out this long. We got some cool stuff that's coming. We got a direction we kind of want to go. We got a vision. But thanks for sticking it out this long, and we'll see what comes in the future. Hopefully you enjoy us enough to stay with us. Us two rambling heads. Hopefully you enjoy that enough. Hopefully we give you something to kind of escape your week for, however many minutes we like to sit here and talk. So we can't do this. There's no point in us doing this if we don't have people who listen. And so when people listen, that's what makes it enjoyable. So I just want to say thank you for that. So
Yeah, and I would say just to add to that, one of the big metrics that podcasts use and the formula uses and all those things for more people to get to hear podcasts like this is leaving 5-star reviews. So make sure to drop us 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. We're going to continue to say that and continue to thank you for doing that. Because simply, like we said, we want you to listen, but obviously we want other people to listen. And the only way we get into new audiences and new arenas are ways like that. So go ahead and make sure you're following us on YouTube, subscribing, following us on Instagram. And if you would leave us a 5-star review on Apple, that would be awesome. Justin, this week for Back to the Bricks is more than just podcast number 20. What else did we drop this week, Justin?
we started our very own Back to the Bricks blog, and we have a team now. It's like Team Flash. Like, what the heck? What is going on? No, super cool stuff. So if you haven't seen it on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, we have started a blog, and we have a team of writers who is going to be providing insight on stuff that maybe we don't know all that well. Because, look, if you've listened to us long enough, you know we don't know everything, and we don't know a whole lot to begin with. So they're going to be dropping some stuff there. We'll have some stuff, but mostly you're going to hear from us on this format, and they're going to provide you stuff on that format. So it's cool. It's a good group of people who are going to bring some good stuff. We've already had an AFC North preview out of TJ Fuentes. We've already had a letter to the Big Ten out of Eric Withrow, and then we have another one coming tomorrow. Which Nick, I'll let you talk about that one if you would like. But we have right now it's a team of 3. It's a team of 5 with us, but hopefully we'll be expanding here soon if we can find some more people who want to join the squad.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're super excited about that. That's kind of where we come from as far as sports coverage, sports talk, things like that. We started just a college football picking thing a few years ago and kind of branched off of that and with our friends and things like that, and kind of gave us some avenues to talk about things like this. And we dreamed of moments like having Back to the Bricks podcast, and now we're really excited to get some of those people involved with our blog. And at the time of listening to this episode, it's not out yet, but it will be by the time you hear this. We will also have an article from our good buddy Donovan Moritz about the Reds and why they're struggling generationally and why they have the talent to win. They just can't seem to do it. So make sure you check out that as well. We got some really cool things hitting on the blog. All that to say, Justin, we check out the social media waves. You let the people have a chance to voice their opinion last week. You reached out through your own channel, through the Back to the Bricks channel, and you asked people if they wanted to hear anything about the NBA playoffs, the NBA in the bubble, one of the most successful organizations to get through COVID, leagues to get through COVID, the National Basketball Association. Justin, the people have spoken. This is your moment. Do with it what you will.
Guys, thank you so much. I wanted this moment. I've been trying to get this moment, and it feels right. So I'm giving the people what they want, Nick. I'm giving them what they want. So it was a narrow margin, but you know what? We came out on top. So that's all that matters. So I just want to dive in. I'm sure you've seen it everywhere, but the Bucks get beat 4-1 by the Heat. And I put it on Twitter last week when the series started. I will keep saying it. Giannis, if LeBron had done and does do what Giannis has done and does do, people would be absolutely annihilating LeBron. But we know that they're on a different scale. But all the great players have had to have somebody go with them, and it hasn't been a guy like Chris Middleton. Like he's not good enough. It's not a guy like Eric Bledsoe. He's not good enough. Like he needs somebody to step in. They're talking about Chris Paul. Chris Paul's good, and he took the Thunder to heights unlike anybody ever expected. But is that the piece that's going to get them where they need to go? Like Giannis is so ball dominant that it's going to be interesting to see who the heck they put with him, because everybody who plays with him stands in the corner and waits to shoot a three. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I think the only way he signs a max extension this offseason, I was about to say summer, but we're in the middle of fall. It's so weird, COVID, But in the middle of fall, the only way he signs that, I think, is if he gets a guarantee from the Bucks that they're going to go try and get somebody. Like that, Nick, that's the only way if I was Giannis, that's the only way I'd be signing that thing, because soon enough, it's kind of like the LeBron thing. You're going to be chasing ghosts. Like you're going to be chasing numbers that, if you want to be remembered, and Giannis has said things that he wants to be remembered for a long time, if you're going to do that, then you got to have guys around you that are going to help you win, and you got to have a chance to go win titles. And I don't know the way the Bucks are configured that they're good enough. They're a great regular season team, but in the playoffs, teams wall them off and they make other guys make shots, and that's not going to happen. So, Nick, I know you don't watch a lot of NBA. I know you don't have a lot of insight on this, but from what you know, because you're cognizant of sports stuff, do you think Giannis is going to sign that Supermax coming up in the next couple of weeks?
I mean, I'll be quite honest with you. I care about 2 max deals right now. I care about Donovan Mitchell getting a max deal with the Utah Jazz. It's not the best case scenario to be at the Jazz long term. It is what it is. Get your money, Spida. Number 2, Lamar Jackson getting a max deal with the Baltimore Ravens in the NFL. Those are the only 2 things I care about. Both of them are former Louisville Cardinals. Not to mention, you took a shot at Eric Bledsoe, the former Kentucky Wildcat. Just wanted to point that out. But you know what? Get your money while you can, because I don't think you're going to be in the MVP conversation the next 5 years. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, you would. It's hard to think you would, right? If he's probably going to win, because I think the voters already have their votes in, which is, I think that's kind of a ripoff. It's kind of like the Heisman thing, like, all those years where you had like Reggie Bush and Vince Young going at it, and then Reggie Bush wins it, but Vince Young wins the championship game. So, like, who really is the Heisman Trophy winner?
Hold on. Reggie Bush did not win a Heisman Trophy. Allegedly. He is not. Hold on now. He's allowed to be named as a USC Trojan now after the 10 years clause. He did not win a Heisman Trophy, so please erase that from your memory.
Hey, I played NCAA football 05. He won a Heisman Trophy. Unbeatable in that game. But anyways, so it's kind of like that thing. Like, it's going to, after the fact, like, it's going to show that is Giannis the regular season MVP? Yeah. But should that be considered when you're naming the overall MVP? I mean, I guess. It's kind of like when Steph won the unanimous one. Like, everybody's like, okay, that's the guy we're going to give the first unanimous MVP to. Like, it's just a little bit of that stuff's ridiculous. The writers, have a little bit of power in today's game, and they want to use it whatever way they can. But I digress. So, his window is shut on winning MVPs. He's going to get this one, and that's probably going to be it until he does something else. Like, eventually the voters get tired of voting for you. LeBron, Kobe, those guys, they all had that happen. But I want to lead in talking about the MVP. It's the last little thing of the NBA I'm going to talk about, and then we'll jump into our normal routine. But you can be the MVP and still not be the guy. And I think that, like, the past 5 or 6 years has proved that the MVP is really like, okay, congrats. Like, Steph won it back-to-back years, and then you got Harden winning it. You got Westbrook winning it. You got Giannis that's probably won it back-to-back years. KD won it before all those guys won it, and that was I think Katie's the last guy who won it that's like, okay, that dude could be the dude. You know, the other guys win it. It's like regular season award because let's just put our money where our mouth is. Yeah, I'm a LeBron guy. I love LeBron. That's not I'm not secret about that. But the dude's averaging 27 points a game, 9 rebounds a game, 9 assists a game. He's 57% from the field and 40% from three in the playoffs. Like in winning time, the dudes like LeBron and Kawhi, that's where they care about winning MVPs. And so that's what Giannis has to become. He's got to step up. He's got to start, being the guy in the playoffs instead of just being it in the regular season when really in the NBA, the regular season doesn't matter at all. You make the playoffs and then it's go time. So that's my NBA talk. Let me know what you think. I mean, Giannis, it's going to be interesting to see what he does, but let me know what you guys think on that stuff. I thought the playoffs have been really good. The Heat looked good. It could be interesting to see a Heat Celtics, Eastern Conference final. That would be interesting. Then be even cooler to see a Celtics Lakers final. So that would be sweet. But Celtics, I think, are going to go into Game 7 against the Raptors. So we'll see what happens there. But Nick, our beloved college football, returned with a vengeance last weekend. A vengeance. Let me tell you, it was some bad football. Do you think this is what we're going to see the next couple of weeks is just atrocious football at all levels?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you take away training camp in the NFL, especially for guys like Joe Burrow. I'm wearing my Joe Burrow shirt today. I mean, he's going to struggle. I'll already put him down for at least 2 picks on Sunday. But, I mean, yeah, you're right. At all levels of football, it's not going to be pretty this weekend. Your Power 5 teams are really kicking off starting on Thursday with Miami and UAB, which is probably going to be a really good game. Go Blazers. But, if you don't, we've had reduced camp. We've had teams had to take quarantine, have to take a pause. It's just going to be ugly, and I think what's going to be interesting about this year is teams that can normally kind of sleepwalk through the first month. Maybe they have a bye week. They have 2 FCS teams, which is a bye, or they have, UConn or somebody who's, not worthy of a, group of 5 spot, and it's just a walk in the park, right? But I don't think that's going to happen this year. Teams are just going to struggle because they're not ready and they're not in shape, and their schedule is conference only. So they're definitely going to.
If teams are playing UConn, they're in a bad shape anyways. They canceled their football season, Nick. Come on. You got me on the Reggie Bush thing. I'm going to get you on the UConn thing.
See, then that's why I said UConn. That's a great example of a team that's not playing. But I will tell you, the breaking news today about the about ACC basketball voting for an all-inclusive NCAA tournament. We'll talk about that another time. But that's the kind of matchup where you get Clemson versus UConn, who's not even playing. Clemson gets the bye. That's just a little fun for you. But yeah, I think football could be ugly. But with that said, Justin, we do like our local teams. We like to give them a little bit more airtime every once in a while. Something I've been hearing across the airwaves of the people who call themselves sports media and sports writers is that, one, a group of 5 team might make it to the playoffs. So I'll start there with that, Justin. But 2, that the UC Cincinnati Bearcats, out of the American Athletic Conference, the AAC, the Power 6 conference as they call themselves, they could just be the Power 4 this year since there's only 3 playing. But could the Cincinnati Bearcats get to the playoff? Is this the year for the group of 5 team? Let's start there. Is this the year for the group of 5 team to actually not just break into the top 10, but make it to the playoffs?
Well, I think if there's any year to do it, it's this year, right? I mean, you only got 3 of the Power 5s playing. 2 of them are out. One of them is perennial to be there, which helps extremely. And the debate is going to be like, do you take an 11-0 group of 5 team, or do you take like a 7 or an 8-2, 8-3 Power 5 team? Like, how can you justify that team actually is better? And I think the team that has the best shot of all those Group 5 teams is the Cincinnati Bearcats. Fickle has those dudes. That's a factory right now. And, I'll say it because I love it. Southwest Ohio football is, some of the best in the country, and that dude is recruiting it like crazy and showing that Ohio has some talent on the football field at the high school level, translating to college, which is awesome. And that would be awesome to see a lot of local kids get to go play in a college football playoff. So as much as my heart wants it to happen, my head's telling me that it could happen just because it's such a random year. And here, I'll throw this question out to you, Nick. Like, Oklahoma State's game got pushed back, right? And so how many other teams' games are going to have to be pushed back, and they're not going to cancel conference games to play whoever. Like, if you're playing 8 games and you lose one and you're sitting there 7-1, is that taken against you? Where if a UC gets to play all 11 games, do you take that into account that they've played 11 games, or is the committee still going to say, well, I think a 7-1 team who's only played 8 games is going to be better, like because they're Power 5? What do you think about that?
I think you're going to get credit for playing more games. I really don't know how else to say it. I mean, in the age of COVID and the age of no Big Ten and no Pac-12, you're going to get credit for playing and for playing somewhat well. And then it comes back to the relative question we always have. This is why I don't like rankings at the beginning of the year, because in order to rank anybody, somebody has to be good, because everything is off of, well, if Notre Dame lost to Clemson, well, Clemson's good, so that means Notre Dame's good. It's all relative. And so you can't be doing that early in the year anyways. But especially this year, when you have a team, like you said, who's going to play 10 games. I mean, the teams in the ACC are going to play 10 games. I'm sorry, they're going to play 11 games. Teams in the SEC are only going to play 10. Teams in the AAC are only going to play 10. So it's going to be different. The committee's going to have to make a decision of what matters the most. But I think you're completely right. I mean, I'll go ahead and give you my go to the week. Central Arkansas has already played 2 games. They have 0 confirmed COVID tests on anybody on their staff, any player. They've played 2 games already. That shows you that it's possible to do this. And one, I think that's just real bad look for the Big Ten. The Pac-12, things are different out west right now. Cities aren't even open. Some teams, I know Chip Kelly was literally on day 1 of being in his office when the Pac-12 decided to cancel. So so we leave the Pac-12 over there. They're in a different timeline. They're doing the right decision. They gave us reasons. The Big Ten, on the other hand, there's no excuse when Central Arkansas has already played 2 games. When teams like Austin Peay are playing in Nippert Stadium against Cincinnati this week, there's no excuse. But I think you're right. I think that it will be valued to play games. And so I think on one hand, if a team like UC goes 10-0 and wins the AAC championship, goes 11-0, they should have a legit conversation. But the thing I'm more concerned about, Justin, and I'm going to ask you this question. I'm more concerned about 3 SEC teams getting in than I'm concerned about a G5 team getting in.
Yeah, I mean, it's a concern we have to have, because the committee has proved over and over and over and over again that they think the SEC is God's gift to earth. So the frustrating thing is that's the more realistic thing to happen. It's more realistic for 3 SEC teams to get in than it is for UC to get in, which I don't think is the right thing, because the more I look at the SEC and the more I look at what is there, and doing our, preview show and then doing our preview blog on all that, like, the more I look at it, the more I don't know how good the SEC actually is. Like, Florida's good, Alabama's good, Georgia just lost their starting quarterback. LSU has lost. Yeah. LSU's lost, everybody.
18 guys plus 14 guys who have opted out.
It's crazy.
It's actually almost that number.
Yeah. Hey, Coach O's going to get after it, baby. He's going to get them fired up. But hold that tiger. But anyway, gosh, I got off track because of Coach O. But it's just, it's more realistic the 3 SEC teams are going to get in, but I don't know how good the SEC is and how, what's it hurt? We've had terrible playoff games. Why throw in a UC and see if they even have a shot? Like, is that worse than Oklahoma getting blown out again, or a Notre Dame getting blown out again by a Clemson? Like, is it worse to throw UC in there?
I think an argument that I've heard from the Bear over at College Game Day before is that sometimes if you look at potential Vegas spreads on a game, that favors somebody like Clemson or Alabama who has recency bias. So this year, if one of those 2 teams, or you go down the list of the SEC teams at least, has 2, or I'll say even 3 losses, if they play a full slate and they've got 3 losses because they only played SEC teams, you've never seen that before, there's no precedent, all those things. They're going to look at things like Vegas spreads. And what that tells me is if I put Clemson versus, let's say, Florida, 2 or 3 loss Florida, they will be maybe a touchdown and a half underdog, maybe 2. Cincinnati's going to be at least 2.5 touchdown underdog. It is what it is. I don't think that's the metric they should use, but at the end of the day, it's like what you said. LSU Oklahoma was over on the second play of the game. We can't have it again, especially this year for TV ratings, especially this year for money, for profit. You just can't do it. And so I think in a perfect world, if Cincinnati runs the table or UCF runs the table or SMU runs the table or Memphis runs the table, is probably your four, right? Or UCF, that's your four right there. If any of those four run the table, sure, I think they should be in. But also realistically, with the season of COVID, with quarantines having to happen, with quarterbacks going down, with whatever it is, I don't think there will be a single team in America that's undefeated. I just don't. At Power 5, G5, nothing. I don't think any of them will be undefeated just because it's going to be a different year. Things are going to change. Teams are going to try to be secretive. It's going to be a crazy wild, wild west. But I do lean to the 3 SEC teams because of recency bias. That's what the committee does. They work for 6 weeks, and then they scrap it all and pick the 4 teams they want to pick. It is what it is. I mean, I'm talking about Penn State a few years ago, a team that was outside looking in and then suddenly way outside of the picture a week later. They didn't even play. So I'm not exactly sure how that happens. That happened to Baylor even a few years before that. They were number 5. Magically, they're number 6 the next week. They did not play a football game. The committee does whatever they want to do, and the committee will continue to do whatever they want to do. And my question is, Justin, will the Pac-12 members and the Big Ten affiliates, or members, shall you say, of the committee be recused of their duties this year because their leagues aren't playing? I think they should be, because you got to think they're in there scheming, how do we tick off the other 3 Power 5 conferences?
Just my deviant self, I want them in there. I want them because what else are they doing? They're not making sure that tickets are being sold at the gate or making sure that their football program's running well on a Saturday instead of watching games. Like, put them in there. They can watch. Now they won't.
Well,
I actually think they should be recused. Like, they shouldn't have a say in it. But
I mean, I believe there was a Pac-12 AD on the committee last year. I mean, you canceled all your fall sports. I mean, you got nothing to do. You might as well lock yourself up and watch all the other teams play. But yeah, it's just one of those things where it's going to be more political than ever. Some people say it already has been with the Big Ten and things like that. I'm not sure that's exactly what's happened. I just think people like Kevin Warren have made really poor decisions. But that's a different argument to go down, different rabbit trail. Again, I don't think it's out of the question, Justin, that Big Ten's playing football in October. That's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, we'll see. And if you want to see the impact that it's had on, fans and what if you're not quite clear on what the Big Ten has done or what they're doing or why everybody's so mad, check out Eric's article on our Back to the Bricks blog on our website. You can find it on Instagram or any social media platform that we're on. So that's a good read from the perspective of a Big Ten fan. Luckily, Nick, we're ACC fans, so we get football starting this Saturday. Which is good, which is great. But, we'll see what happens. It's not going to be pretty. The BYU Navy game proved to us that things are going to be quite ugly. Settled in on that. So it's going to be bad. So the interesting thing about all this is always who the 5th team is in the whole playoff scenario. So we've talked about who we think the 4 is going to be. But who's the 5th team that always gives us the better game than what the college football semifinals give us? The 5-6 game's always way better than any game we get. Who do you think, Nick, is going to be left on the outside looking in when the final results come out?
Yeah, so just to quickly reiterate, I have Clemson, Alabama, Oklahoma, which I'm feeling less and less confident about by the day, and Florida. I think Florida actually does the thing where they lose to Georgia, avoid Atlanta, don't play in the SEC title game, and get in the playoff. I don't know. I think that situation might work this year. I think they're going to play really, really good defense. I think the team that loses in Jacksonville between Georgia and Florida might have the inside track, as crazy as that sounds, to get to the playoff, because that means you don't have to play Alabama. Georgia already does in the regular season. Florida does not. So if Florida can avoid them and avoid them again in Atlanta, that's a chance there. But to answer your question, it probably would be the loser of that game. So I'd probably say Georgia. I think Georgia probably has 2 losses, but I think Georgia's probably number 5. Can you remind us who your 4 are, Justin?
Yeah, I think I have the same. I have Clemson, Alabama, Oklahoma, and then I have the Irish in at number four. So that's who I have. So at number five, it's got to be an SEC team for me. I think Florida is gonna. That's who I loved in my preview article. That's who I would imagine is going to be the fifth team. I have two ACC teams in instead of two SEC teams, partly because of my heart, partly because I think the ACC is more top heavy. But I think it's going to be Florida at five on the outside looking in when this whole thing shakes out.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think again, I keep talking about the SEC. We keep talking about the SEC for a reason because, like you said, they're just deeper than most teams or most conferences, and you'll see it this year. That's just what it is. They're going to have more teams in the picture just because of the nature of cutting away two Power Five conferences. It just is what it is, whether you like it or not. America's conference or whatever. Put that aside. There probably realistically will be 4 or 5 teams in the mix late into the season. And I think you will see at least one team from the West and at least 2 from the East in the mix until the very end. And a team like Florida, if they start well and even lose to Georgia, maybe even trip up again, will still have a chance to be there at the end when a team like Georgia also starts with Auburn and Alabama in the first month. So all those situations make it out for a chance for really anything to happen. And that's, I think, the moral of the story with everything going on college football-wise is anything can happen. Justin, I don't know about you, but I'm planning on enjoying this week. I'm not going to look down the schedule any farther than that now that our preseason previews are out of the way. Going to take it one week at a time. I'm going to look at that Louisville Western Kentucky game. Going to look at that, black uni combo that came out today. Very excited about the new matte helmets. I'm just excited about the little things. And you know what? I'm just hoping that the 20% of Louisville fans in the stadium don't ruin it for next week.
Yeah, I'm just, we got to take it week by week, be blessed with what we get week by week. I'm just excited to tell Google to strike up the Notre Dame fight song when they score a lot of touchdowns on Duke this weekend. So,
absolutely. Well, thanks again for joining us on Back to the Bricks After Dark on this edition. Make sure that you are subscribed to us on YouTube and you're following us on Insta at Back to the Bricks Pod. Let us know what you think. Make sure you're tuning in weekly, and don't forget to check out our blog, which just started this week. And next week, we will catch you back on the Bricks.